Okie dokie. So we're firing off with activity 3 pretty quickly here. It says here, I'm going to use a pencil for this, and it says here, produce a range of 3 or 4 initial design ideas based on the client brief to include sketches and annotations. Now, I'm only going to do one because otherwise you'll end up with a 2-hour video. So here we are. So basically, what I've done was use 2 pages. If I just zoom out, I use 2 pages to get my annotation and the drawing concepts and bits and bobs like that. To start off with, I drew the base to some sort of scale as we are. So if you look from that point there to this point here, up to here and here. So you've got the top plate, which is across there, and this is a side plate. Now, what I've done here, these brackets I'll come back to shortly. We have a side step over here. There's the original side panel, and all I've done was add a vertical cross brace here, the step, another cross brace here, and a little one here to fill it up. So this will make the full assembly as rigid as possible. So platform base welded construction using MIG welder. Okay, that's what we're going to use there. So I didn't put a step at the bottom here. What I've done is put because you're already on the floor. So do you need to put a step on the floor? No, you're already there. So for my rationale, I put the step 200 mil up. So that's your first step, and then you just step onto the work platform there. Now this edge here that you see there is 100 mil edge strip. That's so the user can actually feel the edge of the platform. So you're never going to slip off that. If you look at the handrail, so the handrail which goes up, bent round here, bent round there. We have a cross rail or mid rail there, which is welded up. Now pay attention to the size. 950 to the top. I think it's 450. It could be or could be 470, but I put it at 450. That's your mid rail. So if you've got something at the top which is going to stop you coming off, and you've got this one here stop you falling through, as they say there. And I took advantage of the welded frame, which is going to go all the way around, leaving this side step open. I put a tool tray on the top, so instead of wearing the tool belt, all the tools can go up there, so it gives him a little bit more freedom of movement there. There's nothing worse than having a belt full of tools when you just stick them on the shelf here. Now moving over here, now I've decided on this particular one, I'll probably use the same on all of them, aluminium tube, bent and welded together with plates to attach the side plate to the platform. Now this is the plate here. So the tube that you see here is welded here and here either side, and there's 4 holes, so you get some bolts in there, and this is a side view. Now if you look at it closely, zoom, look at it closely, hopefully you're about to see it on a big screen. The welded plate is underneath the tube. Now if I could have got away with not using this plate here. Only problem is if you bolt through a tube, as you do it up, you're going to crush it. The tube will crush unless you put infill in there. Now I don't want it crushed. You know what happens when things get crushed? They become wobbly. So you end up having a side rail, because these get crushed. The side rail gets wobbly. You're going to end up having an unsafe structure again, which is not what we wanted. You say that this method stops the tube getting crushed. So that's why I added the plate there. There's going to be 4 plates. So there's 2 on this side, and there's 2 on this side. Okay, so that full assembly, the tube assembly, is fully welded and then just bolted onto the top here. The edge strip will be welded to the rails as well, so it just gets bolted on. So we have that. This is concept number 1. Is just identify you have got concept 1. A rubber edge to grip onto the ground when stood on. Okay, now what I've done here is add, so excuse me for the wobbliness, and when there's no weight on the platform, it's free to move, so we can push it along the wheels. Now when you want to use the platform, when you step on that step, you'll compress these springs, as you see here on the left hand one, weight on the platform, the springs compress, the platform drops, the wheel doesn't lift, the platform drops, and that rubber edge that I added to the bottom of there grips onto the surface. So as long as you're heavier than the springs, which you will be, it will grip onto the floor. Now, the springs only have to deal with, let's pull that out a bit. The springs only have to deal with the weight of the full assembly, as you see here, the full assembly. You will have 2 fixed wheels at the back and 2 swivel wheels at the front, so it allows you to steer the part easier. Because they're rubber wheels, they won't slip on the surface that they can be used on. Okay, let's say additional cross members to create a solid work platform. So these side members that you see here and the step completes the construction to make sure it does not wobble about at all. So instead of having an unstable structure, we now have something solid. So where did I get these from? So requirements. Okay, so that's the list that I pulled out. So this is a quick list. I don't have to read any body of text whatsoever. So this list here, add steps. Okay, I only added 1 step here, so that covers that bit. I could give myself a little tick there. More rigid and stability. So these extra bits here are going to give me the rigidity. Stability, well, if it's rigid and the rubber strip there is gripped onto the floor when you stand on the platform, we have stability. The wheels can't move because you're gripping on this rubber strip on the bottom of the platform. Braking mechanism, safety rails, and a safety edge. Surface not to be slippery. So what I've done here, there's my rails, as I discussed earlier. There's the edge, so my feet don't come out of the work platform area, so I can stand on it. I can always feel that. As for this non-slippery edge, I put a little note here. Say self-adhesive grip tape added to the top plate totally removes risk of slipping. Okay, so renewable, you can replace that as it wears out. You can replace it. Same with the wheels, if they wear out, you can replace them. So let's go back to my list. Maneuverability. I've covered maneuverability with the wheels. Life expectancy to be 8 years. You ain't going to break that. That's so solid, you're not going to break. Yeah, things might need to be tightened up and so on like that. The springs, the bolts holders, springs might need to be tightened up. But as with all things, if you're going to use something, you check it before you use it. Training on this platform, you need to check that it is in good condition before you use it. And of course, a responsibility for the employee is to report any problems or breakages in that business and not to use that report to supervision. They will then get it fixed. Safety, form of sustainability. So if you look at my notes here, safety and form, optimize, covering all the requirements for the user. Safety and form. So I covered the safety bit with these bits here. Braking mechanism, adding a step to make it easy to get on, more rigid. This makes it more stable. The braking mechanism, the rails, the edge, and then obviously the grip tape for the non-slip surface. Blah blah blah. Sustainability, well, practically fully recyclable, apart from the rubber wheel casters and the grip tape. You can clearly see that the design is quite detailed, and that didn't take me that long to do that. I think it took me around about, because all they are is just straight lines and a bit of curve here and all that business. So if you've got the thing in your head, this is how you're going to do it. It's quite quick to do. Now, I didn't need to think about the side plate or the top plate because that's my constraint. Sizes to remain the same, the top plate and the side plate. So you just draw that as they were. It's got the drawing on the it has a drawing on the information pack that you get with your exam. Okay, so I put that in. Now the handrails are just two single line up there, the radius on the top, and we've got a crossbar there and the tray, which is just straight lines. Okay, it's easily seen. Now, if you do struggle doing isometric drawing, this is probably the way you're going to do this. Okay, now obviously I've shown you the way the wheels compress, the springs compress, so and so on like that, and extra material and components. The extra material is these cross braces that you see there, and that step. These are the extra components. These casters are off the shelf. The bolts will be off the shelf. The springs will be off the shelf. The only thing we have to do is worry about the brackets and bits and bobs. The tube is off the shelf, but it's straight bar. You have to bend it. Okay. Now, as we've got here, use automated processes, laser cut, blah, blah, blah. Designed to reduce issues. Hopefully this design makes the customer happy that I've covered everything, all the concerns that they had. And let's have a look at my second page. So there's the drawing with small annotations, and I'm going up here. So the requirements, I'm going one by one as you see here. We're going to add the step welded onto one side of the platform, not just one side plate. It's either going to be the front side. We only access this from one side. Easy to step onto to reach top surface. That's what we wanted. They had trouble getting it. £1/2 metre is quite a big step to take. I put a 200mm step in, easy money. Rigidity. It sounded like the old boy off Family Guy. Rigidity and stability. That step that I've added in here, that completes the solidifies the front end. Okay. If you look at this, extra cross braces welded to provide rigid frame. Position of braces provides storage space. Now, just have a quick look at this. So I've got a central brace, I've got a lower brace here, and another one there. So what I could do, instead of boxing it all in, I could use that to store tooling or whatever. It might be that you have to, instead of bringing out a wheelbarrow or a trolley or whatever it is to take new parts, you could put it in there if you needed to. Okay. Front step completely solidifies the platform. Now, braking mechanism, you see I've just done the rubber edge there, rubber grip there, acts as a brake to stop movement. So once you compress those wheels, that you see here. So all you've got to do is talk to the examiner, say, this is what I've done. So sprung loaded casters, off the shelf, these are off the shelf, bracket welded to side plate, bolts used to locate and secure caster in position, 2 fixed and front 2 pivots, making steering easier. Okay. Safety, added welded handrail to the side plate, bolted into position, and I've got 950 for the high rail, 450 for the mid rail, 100 for the edge strip, as stipulated by HSC work platforms. Okay. Hopefully you would have found something on the work platforms as we go from there. Self-adhesive grip tape added to the top plate, totally removes risk of slippage. That's what we wanted. As I said, just repeating what we've done earlier. Safety and form optimized, covering all requirements from the user from the list that I dragged out of the text. Back to this one. I obviously already spoke about the recyclability bar, blah blah. And then if you look at this, top plate, the side plates remain the same size. That was the constraint that we had here. Back to here. CNC laser cut the profile, so anything that's flat plate and all that business would have been laser cut. And then we use the CNC brake press to form the parts. The tubes that I've used on here, cut to length and then bent on the CNC pipe bender. Now there's 1,000 of these. You're not going to get some operator bending 1,000 of these. Now, because there's a rail either side, that'd be 2,000 parts. Then you've got the mid rail, there'll be another 1,000 of those. You're going to automate this to make the job quicker. So the operator just sticks the bar in and lets the machine finish binding the form that you need out of the tube. So that'd be a CNC pipe bender. Now, we could manually weld it, easily achievable with that. There's only 1,000 of them, right? So if you have 8 or 9 welders, you can probably get through this quite quickly. But we could use robots to complete the bulk of the welded assembly. Right? That's what we would do. We could do that, as they say there. But as I say, I've quickly knocked this up. Concept 1. This is the text that goes to concept 1. So this is annotation, small drawings. Obviously, you might want to add more. And these are some labels and some smaller annotation. And I won't really go there. Hopefully, just from that one drawing, I've covered enough or covered in majority or near enough everything that you have that we pulled out of that list. That's a tool to help you do activity 2, and you can draw from this list that I produced here to produce my parts. Call this a palette of instructions that you need to cover when you do this here. I haven't put on there that laser cutting of profiles is efficient use of the materials. Now remember, these are concepts, okay? Activity 4 is where you can go deeper into this to get the higher marks for there. This section's worth 9 marks, so that's what you're after. This should be towards the high end of the marking. Now all you've got to do, I've only done 1 of the 3, you've got to do another 2. Make sure you cover the same thing. I haven't added anything about powder coat paint or any finishing on this particular thing there, but when you get to activity 4, you have an opportunity to do those there. Now, opportunities, extra materials and components, I've covered that. There was a new design. I was constrained to have the side plates and the top plate to be the same as what they wanted. We weren't allowed to change that. So the design was how I put the plates together. Use automated processes, which I've written on there. Designed to reduce the issues. I think I've covered everything in this design to reduce all the issues that we have. Add off-the-shelf parts, wheels and brakes and fixings. That'd be the rubber strip. You're not going to make the rubber. We're just going to buy a strip of it and add it to it. Okay. It might be as easy as the Tap-Tite that they use on the car doors. Excuse my wobbliness of this. So my desk is starting to get a little bit busy here. Okay. So imagine this. I'm going for the scenario of your first stint or session that you're doing for your exam. Now, my students that I have are doing 4 2-hour stints. So imagine I'm coming to the end of my first session. 10 minutes left to go, ladies and gentlemen, 10 minutes left to go. I always do that to my students. So this should be an indicator. You finished the last sentence that you're doing or wherever you are on your text or on your exam paper, and then return back to this. Now, the planning stage that you see here, 15 minutes to produce this table, probably even less than that. Interpret the brief. So all this and doing these bullet points that you see here have taken me 40 minutes. And then I've just started my concept designs. I'm halfway through my second concept. First one's done and dusted. I'm halfway through my second thing. So the story so far, I now need to come back to activity 1 to write something about changes and to do next time. Okay, that's what I'm going to do on there. So what does that look like? It can be as easy as this, as long as so when you complete your first session, there's not much to change. So I've put in there session number 1, Monday 9:30 to 11:30. No changes to record. However, spending about 30 minutes for concept designs, I have to add 30 minutes for this session for activity 3. Adjust time for planning. So that's a note to myself to get sorted. To do next time /session, finish off concept 2, which I've started. I'm halfway through it. I'm 50% complete. Requires another 15 minutes. Then create third concept to finish off activity 3. That's my first instruction. So when I finish my dinner, so I'm going to have dinner, relax a little bit, just wind down. And then before I get back into it, my first thing I'm going to do, when they say next session starting, quickly read what you got here. This should jog your memory, if you've got a poor memory, of what you got to do next time. Then, as I start session 2, I can finish off my concept 2 design, and then I can complete number 3. And then straight after that, I move on to activity 4. Oh yes, it's going to be a tough one, but you make it as hard or as easy as you can for yourself. Now, if you've got everything, this will be easy money. So that's the end of this video. Hopefully it's been helpful for you. Just ping me a ting on the comments there. I'll help you out. And as I say, not many people get in contact with us, so I can manage the traffic as it comes through there. Right, ciao for now. I'll see you in the next video, which should be either tomorrow or the day after.